Just when Eric thought he was finally healing, his past came crashing back, right as his heart began falling for someone new. One cafe encounter turns into a dangerous love triangle where every choice could shatter someone's heart. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment who you think Eric should choose as we dive into this emotional BL story. Eric firmly believed he was done with love. Not taking a break from dating, done. Not focusing on himself, done. He meant capital D, done. Love had chewed him up, spat him out, and then had the audacity to leave him on red for 2 years. So now, at 26, Eric lived a quiet, respectable life. He drank oat milk lattes. He owned exactly 3 houseplants, 2 survived. He jogged every morning even though he hated jogging. He had deleted Marcus's number, blocked Marcus's socials, and emotionally buried Marcus somewhere between unpaid student loans and expired yogurt. Healing according to the internet. And it was working. Mostly. Then Jayden happened. Jayden entered Eric's life the way sunshine sneaks through half-open curtains. Soft, unexpected, and annoyingly effective. They met at a small cafe when Eric accidentally stole Jayden's seat, spilled his coffee on Jayden's camera bag, and proceeded to panic apologize for 5 straight minutes. Jayden had laughed. Actually laughed. Not the polite kind. The real kind that made his eyes crease at the corners. That should have been Eric's first warning. Now, 3 weeks later, Eric found himself sitting across from Jayden at the same cafe, pretending to be deeply interested in the foam art on his cappuccino while secretly wondering what it would be like to hold Jayden's hand. Jayden was a photographer. The soft-spoken, gentle type who tilted his head when he listened and said things like, "That's beautiful," about ordinary stuff like rain puddles and cracked sidewalks. He wore oversized sweaters and smelled faintly of cedarwood. Eric was doomed. "So," Jayden said, stirring his drink, "you ever think about taking trips?" Eric blinked. "Like, emotionally or geographically?" Jayden smiled. Eric's heart did an unnecessary backflip. "Geographically," Jayden replied. "Though emotionally works too." Eric laughed. "I don't know. I barely travel farther than my grocery store." "That's tragic." "I call it stability." Jayden leaned forward slightly. "You don't strike me as the stability type." Eric raised an eyebrow. "Oh. You jog. That's self-hatred." Jayden chuckled again, and Eric mentally added making Jayden laugh to his list of favorite hobbies. They talked about everything. Music, embarrassing childhood stories, why plants die even when you swear you're trying. The conversation flowed so easily that Eric forgot to be nervous. Forgot to overthink. Forgot that his heart had once been shattered into emotionally unavailable confetti. For a moment, life felt simple. That was when the universe decided to ruin everything. Eric stood up to throw away his empty cup, humming under his breath, when a familiar voice landed behind him like a dramatic thunderclap. "Eric." His spine froze. His soul briefly left his body. Slowly, too slowly, Eric turned around. Marcus stood there. Marcus, with his stupid perfect hair and stupid confident posture and stupid face that Eric had once memorized in the dark. Marcus, wearing an expensive coat and the same crooked smile that used to melt Eric into emotional soup. Marcus. His ex. Of course. Because why wouldn't this happen right when Eric was flirting with a beautiful photographer who smelled like cedarwood and hope? "Wow," Marcus said, eyes scanning Eric like he was a forgotten treasure. "It's really you." Eric's brain screamed. Outwardly, he managed a polite nod. "Marcus." Cool. Calm. Casual. Definitely not internally combusting. "You look good," Marcus added. Eric crossed his arms. "So do you?" "Capitalism seems to be treating you well." Marcus laughed. "Still funny." "Unfortunately, yes." Jayden approached then, sensing something strange. "Hey, everything okay?" Eric turned to Jayden, suddenly very aware of how close they were standing. "This is..." Eric hesitated. "This is Marcus. My ex." The word felt heavier than expected. Jayden offered a gentle smile. "Nice to meet you." Marcus shook Jayden's hand, his gaze sharp and assessing. "Likewise." Something unspoken crackled between them. Eric wanted to crawl into the nearest trash bin. "So," Marcus said, looking back at Eric. "Didn't expect to see you here. I just moved back." "Of course you did." Eric forced a neutral expression. "Back? Yeah. New job. Thought I'd start fresh." Eric swallowed. "Fresh, right?" Jayden glanced between them. "Well, Eric and I were just about to head out." Eric hadn't known that, but he appreciated Jayden's instinct. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Oh." Eric nodded quickly. "Yep. We were. Leaving. Right now." Marcus studied Eric for a moment, something unreadable passing through his eyes. "We should catch up," Marcus said softly. "There's a lot I never got to say." Eric's chest tightened. Jayden shifted beside him, close enough that their arms brushed. The contact sent a spark straight through Eric's nervous system. "We'll see," Eric replied. Marcus smiled. "I'll take that as a maybe." And just like that, Marcus walked away. Eric stood there, emotionally stunned, while Jayden gently touched his elbow. "You okay?" Jayden asked. Eric exhaled shakily. "Yeah, totally. Just got ambushed by my past. Casual Tuesday." Jayden smiled, but there was concern in his eyes. Eric looked at Jayden, then at the door Marcus had disappeared through. His heart was suddenly standing in the middle of a very complicated intersection. And the traffic lights were broken. Eric did not sleep that night. Not because of caffeine. Not because of stress. Because his brain had decided to replay Marcus's face on a continuous loop like a badly programmed screensaver. Every time Eric closed his eyes, there Marcus was, smiling softly, saying "there's a lot I never got to say," like some emotionally dangerous audiobook. Eric rolled over in bed for the 9th time and groaned into his pillow. "Go away," he whispered to the ceiling. The ceiling offered no emotional support. By morning, Eric had achieved approximately 12 minutes of rest and a full-blown existential crisis. He arrived at work late, wore mismatched socks, and accidentally called his boss Mom. It was shaping up to be a great day. Naturally, Jayden texted. "Jayden, morning. Hope yesterday didn't get too weird, grinning face with sweat." Eric, "Weird is my brand. I'm fine. Totally fine. Extremely fine." Jayden, "That's a lot of fine. Want to grab lunch later?" Eric stared at his phone like it had personally challenged him. Lunch meant seeing Jayden. Seeing Jayden meant remembering how warm his smile was. It also meant thinking about Marcus again, which Eric was actively trying not to do. He typed back, "Eric, sure. Lunch sounds good." His heart did a tiny, traitorous somersault. They met at a small noodle place near Jayden's studio. Eric arrived early because anxiety had upgraded him to punctuality. He was halfway through aggressively folding a napkin when Jayden walked in. Eric's lungs briefly forgot their job. Jayden wore a beige sweater and had his hair loosely tied back. He looked like the kind of person who accidentally makes strangers fall in love at crosswalks. "Hey," Jayden said, smiling. Eric stood too fast. His chair made a dramatic screeching sound. "Cool." "Hi," Eric replied, attempting dignity while quietly pushing the chair back into place. They ordered food. Eric got spicy ramen. Jayden got something with tofu and optimism. For a moment things felt normal again. Until Jayden gently cleared his throat. "So," Jayden said, twirling his chopsticks. "Your ex." Eric froze mid-sip. "Ah," Eric replied eloquently. "Yes, that." Jayden hesitated. "You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to." Eric sighed. "No, it's okay. I just didn't expect him to pop back into existence like a deleted app." Jayden smiled faintly. "Was it serious?" Eric nodded. 2 years. We lived together. Had matching toothbrushes." Jayden winced. "Oh, that level." "Yeah, that level." Jayden looked down at his drink. "Do you still have feelings?" Eric opened his mouth, then closed it again. He hadn't planned on honesty today. "I don't know," Eric admitted. Seeing him just stirred things up. "But we broke up for reasons." Jayden nodded slowly. "That makes sense." Eric noticed Jayden's shoulders tense slightly. "Great." Now he was hurting the nice photographer with the gentle eyes. "Fantastic. I like spending time with you," Eric blurted. "Just so you know. Like, genuinely." Jayden looked up, surprised. "Oh," Jayden said softly. Eric immediately regretted everything. The food arrived, interrupting the emotional spiral. They ate in a slightly awkward but not terrible silence. Jayden kept sneaking glances at Eric. Eric kept pretending to be deeply invested in his noodles. After lunch, Jayden walked Eric partway back to work. At the corner, Jayden stopped. "I had fun today," Jayden said. Eric smiled. "Me too." Jayden hesitated like he wanted to say more. Instead, he just said, "See you soon?" Eric nodded. "Yeah, soon." Jayden left and Eric watched him go, feeling something warm and hopeful bloom in his chest. Which was exactly when Marcus texted. "Marcus, I found your number again. Hope that's okay. Want to grab coffee sometime?" Eric stared at his phone in disbelief. The audacity. The timing. The emotional violence. He typed, deleted, typed again. "Eric, I'm kinda busy lately." Three dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Marcus, I won't take much of your time. I just want to talk. I owe you an apology. Eric leaned his head against the lamp post. Apologies were his weakness. Against his better judgment, he replied. Eric, fine. Coffee. Tomorrow. The next day arrived faster than Eric's regret. He met Marcus at a sleek cafe that definitely charged extra for vibes. Marcus looked exactly like he belonged there. Thanks for coming, Marcus said. Eric shrugged. You promised emotional closure. I'm here for the plot. Marcus laughed. They talked. About work. About life. About how Marcus had messed up, taken Eric for granted, prioritized his career over their relationship. Marcus admitted he'd been afraid of commitment. Afraid of vulnerability. Afraid of losing Eric. Eric listened, heart wobbling like a poorly stacked tower. Then Marcus leaned forward. I still love you, Marcus said quietly. Eric nearly choked on his latte. At that exact moment, Jayden walked in. Of course he did. Jayden froze when he saw them together. Eric's soul officially exited his body. Jayden's eyes flicked from Marcus to Eric. Oh, Jayden said softly. Eric stood up so fast his chair nearly fell. Jayden, this isn't. Jayden forced a small smile. It's okay. I didn't mean to interrupt. But his voice cracked just a little. He turned and walked out. Eric watched him go, heart plummeting. Marcus reached for Eric's hand. Eric pulled away. His chest hurt. His coffee was cold. And suddenly, everything felt painfully complicated. Eric spent the next 48 hours in what could only be described as emotional airplane mode. He did not text Jayden. He did not reply to Marcus. He stared at his ceiling like it owed him answers. Every time his phone buzzed, his heart attempted parkour. He replayed the cafe scene approximately 1,000 times. Jayden's quiet, oh. The way his smile hadn't reached his eyes. The way he'd walked out without making a scene, like a mature adult with functioning emotional boundaries. Eric hated that. He preferred dramatic exits. Slamming doors. Throwing coats. Not gentle heartbreak. On the third day, Eric finally snapped. He marched into Jayden's photography studio with the confidence of a man who had absolutely no plan. Jayden was adjusting a backdrop when Eric walked in. He looked tired. Still beautiful. Still unfairly attractive in soft lighting. Jayden glanced up. Oh, he said. Not aggressively. Just cautiously. Eric swallowed. Hi. Jayden nodded. Hey. There was a long pause where both of them stood there like emotionally confused mannequins. I didn't cheat on you, Eric blurted. Jayden blinked. We weren't dating. Right. But still. For the record. Jayden exhaled slowly. Eric? I know it looked bad, Eric rushed on. But Marcus ambushed me with unresolved feelings and caffeine. I didn't plan any of it. Jayden folded his arms. You went to coffee with your ex? Yes. Jayden raised an eyebrow. Eric winced. When you say it like that, it sounds worse. Jayden let out a tired laugh. I didn't leave because I thought you were doing something wrong. I left because I realized I was already too invested. That hit Eric directly in the chest. Jayden continued quietly. I didn't want to stand there pretending I was fine while watching you reconnect with someone who already owns pieces of your heart. Eric opened his mouth. Closed it. Reopened it. I don't know what I'm doing, Eric admitted. Marcus was my past. You're my present. And my brain doesn't handle transitions well. Jayden softened slightly. Before either of them could say more, the studio door opened. Because the universe hates Eric. Marcus walked in. Jayden stiffened instantly. Marcus froze when he saw Eric. Well, Marcus said slowly. This is awkward. Eric turned toward him. Did you follow me? Marcus held up his hands. No. I had a shoot here. Didn't know this was your place. Jayden's jaw tightened. You booked me? Marcus nodded. Small world. Eric stared at the ceiling. Somewhere above them, God was laughing. The tension in the room could have powered a small city. Jayden cleared his throat. I'll reschedule. No, Marcus said quickly. I can wait. Jayden shook his head. It's fine. Eric stepped between them like a nervous referee. No one is leaving, Eric announced. We're adults. We can talk like emotionally responsible people. Both men stared at him. Eric immediately regretted saying that. Marcus broke the silence first. You still haven't answered me, Marcus said, looking at Eric. About what I said at the cafe. Jayden's eyes flicked back to Eric. Eric's heart started sprinting. Marcus continued, I told you I still love you. Jayden inhaled sharply. Eric rubbed his face. Marcus, Eric said carefully. You hurt me. You chose work over us. You disappeared emotionally for months before we broke up. Marcus stepped closer. I know, and I hate myself for it. But I've changed. Jayden spoke up, voice steady but tight. People always say that. Marcus turned toward Jayden. And who are you to judge? Jayden met his gaze. Someone who wouldn't leave him alone on his birthday because of a conference call. Marcus flinched. Eric stared at Jayden. You remembered that? Jayden shrugged. Eric told me. Eric blinked. I did. Apparently emotional airplane mode came with oversharing. Jayden took a breath. I don't have history with you, Jayden said to Marcus. I don't have dramatic memories or inside jokes. But I show up. I listen. And I don't make Eric feel like he's competing with a career. Silence. Eric felt his throat tighten. Jayden turned to Eric. I like you, Jayden said. A lot. But I won't fight your past. If you still want him, just tell me. Eric looked at Marcus. Then at Jayden. Marcus represented familiarity. Shared years. Old laughter. Comfortable routines. Jayden represented warmth. Presence. Quiet understanding. The future. Eric exhaled. Marcus, Eric said softly. You were important to me. You always will be. But you don't get to come back and reclaim me just because you're ready now. Marcus's shoulders sagged. Eric turned to Jayden. And you make me feel seen. You make me laugh when I don't want to. You feel like peace. Jayden's eyes widened. Eric swallowed. I choose you. Marcus nodded slowly, pain flickering across his face. I guess that's my answer, Marcus said. He left without another word. Jayden stood frozen. You don't have to decide everything today, Jayden said quietly. Eric stepped closer. I already did. Jayden hesitated, then leaned into Eric's embrace. Eric held him, heart pounding, realizing that sometimes love isn't about returning to what you knew. It's about choosing what finally feels right. Eric woke up the next morning feeling like someone had quietly rearranged his soul. Not dramatically. Not explosively. Just gently. For the first time in weeks, his chest didn't feel like it was hosting a competitive anxiety tournament. Instead, there was a calm warmth sitting right behind his ribs. He stared at his ceiling. I chose Jayden, he whispered to himself. His heart responded with a very enthusiastic yes. He rolled out of bed, brushed his teeth while smiling at nothing, and accidentally waved at his reflection like a polite stranger. Feeling was weird. Jayden didn't text him first. Eric did. Eric, good morning. I'm thinking about you. Also about pancakes. Both important. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Jayden, that might be the sweetest message I've ever received. Want to get breakfast? Eric was already halfway into his jacket. They met at a cozy little diner that smelled like syrup and forgiveness. Jayden arrived wearing a soft gray hoodie, hair still slightly messy like he'd wrestled with his pillow and lost. Eric fell in love again immediately. They ordered too much food because emotional growth apparently required hash browns. For a moment, they just sat there, smiling at each other like two people who had survived an emotional hurricane and somehow found each other on the other side. So, Jayden said gently, how are you feeling? Eric took a sip of orange juice. Like I just finished a really intense season of my own personal drama. Jayden laughed. Same. Eric hesitated. Marcus texted me last night. Jayden stiffened for half a second before relaxing. What did he say? Eric shrugged. He apologized. For real this time. Said he hopes I'm happy. Jayden nodded slowly. And I told him thank you. And goodbye. Jayden exhaled softly. Eric reached across the table and covered Jayden's hand with his own. I'm not confused anymore, Eric said. I don't want my past back. I want this. Jayden's cheeks turned faintly pink. This comes with spontaneous coffee dates and emotionally unstable houseplants, Jayden warned. Eric smiled. I accept your terms. They ate. They talked. They shared fries like it meant something important. Later, Jayden invited Eric to walk with him while he took photos around the city. Eric followed along, carrying Jayden's spare lens like it was sacred cargo. Jayden kept stopping to photograph random things. A stray cat. Sunlight on brick walls. Eric tying his shoelace. Hey, Eric said. Was that last one necessary? Jayden checked his camera. Absolutely. Eric shook his head. I feel emotionally documented. Jayden grinned. You are. At one point, Jayden stepped backward into a puddle. Eric burst out laughing. Jayden looked down at his soaked sneaker. Wow. Love that for me. Eric grabbed Jayden's arm to steady him. They ended up standing way too close. Jayden looked up. Eric forgot how breathing worked. There was a pause. A charged, fragile moment suspended between them. Jayden swallowed. Eric leaned in and bumped noses. They both froze. Oh my God, Eric groaned. I ruined it. Jayden blinked, then started laughing. Real laughter. The kind that makes your shoulders shake. Eric joined in, embarrassed but relieved. Round 2. Jayden asked softly. Eric nodded. This time, Eric tilted his head properly. Their lips met gently. It wasn't dramatic. No fireworks. No cinematic music. Just warm and soft and real. Eric felt something inside him finally settle. They pulled apart slowly. Jayden smiled. Hi. Eric smiled back. Hi. They walked hand in hand after that, pretending it was casual while internally screaming. That evening, they cooked dinner together at Eric's apartment. Jayden nearly set off the smoke alarm trying to sauté onions. Eric burned the rice. They ordered takeout instead. Sitting on the floor with cartons of noodles, Jayden leaned against Eric's shoulder. You know, Jayden said, I was really scared. Eric kissed his hair. Me too. But I'm glad your ex came back, Jayden added. Eric blinked. Excuse me? Jayden smiled. If he hadn't, you might not have realized what you wanted. Eric considered that. Okay, Eric admitted. That's annoyingly wise. Jayden beamed. Later, as they lay side by side on the couch, Eric realized something important. Love wasn't supposed to feel like survival. It wasn't supposed to be loud and painful and uncertain. Sometimes, love was quiet laughter, shared noodles, and someone choosing you without hesitation. Eric squeezed Jayden's hand. Jayden squeezed back. And for the first time in a long time, Eric wasn't looking backward. He was finally learning how to love forward.